I had a very interesting conversation with your assistant. He froze. Turns out you haven't worked late a single Tuesday or Thursday in the last 2 months. I tilted my head. In fact, you've been leaving early. Silence. The boys looked at him, really looked at him, and I watched the moment trust started cracking. Dad, Matthew's voice was suddenly very small. Is Mom telling the truth? Brandon opened his mouth, closed it. His shoulders dropped. And then, to my genuine surprise, he started crying. Real crying, ugly, helpless, pathetic sobbing. It's complicated, buddy, he whispered. You wouldn't understand. Matthew stared at him, and when he spoke, his voice was harder than I had ever heard. I understand that you lied to us. Matthew, please, I understand that you've been sneaking around and pretending you were at work. Luke's voice broke. Do you have a girlfriend? He was already crying. 11 years old, standing on the porch of his own house, asking if his father had chosen someone else. Brandon looked at him, at our son's face, at the damage sitting right in front of him, and something inside him finally cracked. Yes, he whispered. It's true. Luke's face crumpled instantly. He ran to me and buried himself against my side. I wrapped my arm around him while Matthew stood frozen, staring at his father with a kind of disappointment no child should ever have to feel. How could you do that to Mom? Brandon wiped at his face. You don't understand? No, Matthew snapped. I do. His voice shook, but he didn't stop. I understand that you cheated, I understand that you lied, and I understand that you hurt our family. He took a breath. Jake's dad cheated too, that's why his parents got divorced. Brandon looked stunned, and Matthew kept going. You know what Jake told me? Silence. He said he was glad his mom found out, because his dad was making everyone miserable with all the lying. That landed hard. Brandon looked like someone had slapped him across the face. Matthew, that's not fair. Matthew gave a bitter little laugh. What's not fair is what you did to us. I put my arm around his shoulders. Boys, go inside and start your homework. Neither of them argued, Luke still crying, Matthew looking like he wanted to punch a wall. When the front door closed behind them, Brandon and I stood facing each other across the driveway. 2 people, 1 marriage, nothing left to save. You had no right to tell them like that, he said finally. I stared at him. I had every right. They are my sons too, and they deserve to know why their father suddenly decided he didn't want to live here anymore. I never said I didn't want to live here. You didn't have to. I stepped closer. You showed it, every day, for months. My voice sharpened. You showed them that something else was more important than being their father. That's not true. Really? I crossed my arms. When was the last time you helped with homework? Silence. When was the last time you asked Matthew about school and actually listened? Nothing. When was the last time you tucked Luke in at night instead of checking your phone? His mouth opened, then closed, because he knew. You checked out of this family long before Brittany, I said. She was just the excuse you used to make it official. His voice cracked. I never meant to hurt them, I nodded once. But you did, and you'll keep hurting them every single day you keep choosing her over them. It's not about choosing, I almost laughed. It is always about choosing, every day, every decision, every priority, and you've made yours very clear. My phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen and smiled. Coldly. Who is it? He asked. My lawyer. His face tightened. The divorce papers are ready. All ready? I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. I told you, I was preparing. I handed it to him. You wanted a divorce, Brandon. Congratulations, you're getting one. He opened it with shaking hands, scanned the first page, then looked up sharply. You're asking for primary custody? Yes. With supervised visitation? Yes. That's ridiculous. Is it? I stepped closer. You've been lying to them for months, prioritizing your affair over their emotional well-being, spending money that should go toward your children on romantic dinners with your girlfriend. I held his gaze. How exactly does that demonstrate good parenting? I never neglected them. No, you were just emotionally absent for months. Trust me, they noticed. He kept flipping through the papers, getting paler with every page. You're asking for child support. Yes, that's how parenting works. And the house? Stays with me and the boys. I didn't blink. They've been through enough. They are not losing their home too. This is insane. You can't just take everything. I smiled. I'm not taking anything. I'm protecting what's mine. You're the one who threw it away. He stood abruptly, gripping the papers like they might save him. I need to call my lawyer. You should. I turned toward the front door, then stopped. One last thing. Oh, and Brandon? He looked back. When you talk to Brittany tonight, you may want to mention that her husband might be very interested in hearing about her extracurricular activities. He froze completely. What husband? Slowly, I pulled out my phone, opened her social media, and handed it to him. Brittany Morrison married to Greg Morrison, 8 years, 2 young children, family photos everywhere, baseball games, birthday parties, anniversary dinner just last month, very much not divorced. His face went blank. No, I tilted my head. She told you she was divorced? He stared at the screen like it was a car crash he couldn't look away from. That's impossible. I gave a small shrug. She lied, just like you lied to me. Funny how that works. He kept scrolling. Brittany smiling beside her husband, Brittany holding her kids, Brittany at a family barbecue just last weekend, every image another knife. But she said I cut him off. She said exactly what you wanted to hear. I stepped closer. Kind of like how you kept telling me everything was fine. He looked shattered, not because he had hurt me, because suddenly, for the first time, he realized he might have been the fool too, and honestly, that was only the beginning. He sank back onto the porch steps like someone had cut the strings holding him upright, still staring at my phone, still staring at the life he thought he was building with Brittany Morrison. I don't understand. I took the phone back. No, you don't understand because you never wanted to. I stood over him, looking down at the man I had once trusted with my entire future. You wanted a fantasy, a version of life where you got everything you wanted without consequences, the exciting affair, the clean divorce, the fresh start, the happy ending where somehow everyone applauded your honesty. I slipped the phone into my pocket. Here's reality. Brittany Morrison is a liar and a cheater, just like you. The only difference is she's better at it. He looked up at me, tears running freely now, not dignified tears, not tragic tears, just the ugly collapse of a man finally meeting himself. What am I supposed to do now? I didn't even hesitate. That stopped being my problem the moment you made her yours. Silence. Then I added, but if I were you, I'd start by figuring out where you're sleeping tonight, because it won't be here. He looked toward the house, toward the windows where his sons were probably standing just out of sight. The boys, his voice cracked. The boys need time, I said. They're hurt. They're angry. They're trying to understand why their father decided someone else mattered more. You can't keep me from seeing my own children. I'm not keeping you from anything. I stepped closer. I'm suggesting that forcing yourself into their space right now when they're devastated might not be the smartest parenting decision. But then again, good parenting decisions haven't exactly been your specialty lately. That one landed. He stood slowly, like an old man instead of a 40-year-old man whose biggest injury was his own selfishness. I never wanted it to happen like this. I opened his car door. No, you wanted it to happen the easy way. I looked him dead in the eye. You wanted the affair and the divorce and the fresh start. You wanted to blow up our family and still somehow be the victim. My voice dropped. Life doesn't work that way, Brandon. Actions have consequences, and you're about to learn exactly what those look like. For once, he had nothing to say. He got into the car, closed the door, and drove away. I stood there until his taillights disappeared. Then I went inside, because no matter how satisfying revenge feels, children still need dinner, and heartbreak still has homework. The boys were in the living room pretending to do homework, pretending badly. Luke was turning the same math page over and over. Matthew was staring at a textbook upside down. Neither of them had missed a single word outside. Is Dad coming back? Luke asked quietly. I sat down between them. Not tonight, maybe not for a while. Good, Matthew said immediately. His voice was sharp, fierce, too old. I don't want to see him right now. I pulled both of them closer. Luke leaned into me instantly. Matthew resisted for exactly 3 seconds before giving in. It's okay to be angry, I said. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be confused. What happened is not your fault, and it doesn't change how much I love you. Luke's voice was small. Will he choose her over us? There are questions no mother wants to answer. Questions where the truth feels like betrayal either way. I chose honesty. I don't know, sweetheart, I hope not. But if he does, that says something about him, not about you. Matthew looked at me. What if he tries to make us live with her? I shook my head immediately. That is not going to happen, I promise you, and I meant it. Absolutely. We ordered pizza, watched a movie, just the 3 of us. No tension, no forced smiles, no pretending. For the first time in months, the house felt peaceful, like maybe the storm had passed, but I knew better. Brandon wasn't going to go quietly. and Brittany Morrison definitely wasn't going to appreciate her carefully curated life being exposed. This wasn't the end. It was the opening shot. The next few days passed in a strange blur. Brandon called, again, and again, and again. I didn't answer. His texts shifted like a man cycling through the stages of panic, first apologetic, then angry, then desperate, then angry again. I saved every single one, forwarded them all to Carol, responded to none, let silence do the work. Friday morning, Carol called. Maddie, Brandon hired James Peterson. That made me sit up. Family law specialist? The one and only. I let out a slow breath. He's expensive. Very, Carol said, which tells me Brandon is panicking. Good, he should be. What does Peterson want? He called this morning asking if we'd be open to discussing a settlement before things get adversarial. I laughed, short, cold. It's already adversarial. His client cheated on me and used family money to fund his affair. I mentioned that, Carol said. Apparently Brandon left out some details. Peterson sounded surprised. Brandon never tells the full story. He tells the version where he still gets to be the hero. Carol sighed. He wants a meeting. I think we should let them talk, see what they're offering, see how scared they really are. Fine, when? Wednesday, my office. I'll be there. I spent the weekend with the boys, mini golf. Movies, ice cream twice. Normal things, simple things.